We all know how important a first impression can be. Maybe you're going on a first date or applying for a job interview.
Or you're a greedy billion-dollar corporation dropping the trailer for their newest purchasing simulator. Odds are that you're aiming to come out of the gate swinging and make a positive, perhaps even lasting impression.
But we all know that doesn't always happen, and we all love poking fun at these bastards who flat out lie through their teeth. And with the recent release of Starfield, I figured why not take a look at some of the other instances in which these publishers thought it was a great idea to fluff up their highly anticipated trailer only to deliver a steaming pile of shit.
Number 1, Watch Dogs. This one's been covered by countless others, but if there's anything I've learned from watching Todd Howard over the years, it's to keep doing the same shit over and over and over and over again. So like a fat kid trying to fit in at a pool party, Ubisoft wanted to make a big splash at E3 2012 with their trailer for Watch Dogs, their newest IP developed for the upcoming next generation of consoles at the time. The trailer showcased a vibrant and dynamic open world with realistic lighting and AI NPC behavior that made everyone in attendance absolutely shit themselves. Where hacking and mayhem went hand in hand, we were ready to raise all sorts of hell in a dystopian Chicago that's somehow still safer than our own. But those dreams would soon turn to nightmares, because what we got was essentially the at-home version of GTA. Now, I personally enjoyed Watch Dogs when it first came out, and to be honest, I'm just joking. I do love the city of Chicago, just not a fan of their pizza. But I thought the game was a solid, albeit linear action thriller in a setting that felt like a breath of fresh air at the time. With that being said, the world felt lifeless, the graphics lacked the punch that we expected, and the hacking mechanics were more like a fun gimmick and not a generation-defining feature as it was all hyped up to be. I noticed, players noticed, critics noticed, hell, even the fucking developers noticed, and the backlash was fierce. Ubisoft was able to mend some of these wounds with Watch Dogs 2 and regain some of their fanbase by attempting to live up to their initial promise. But this was short-lived, as the most recent release, Watch Dogs Legion, was yet another overpromised, underdelivered title that left the series in a state of catatonic limbo. Number 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. You honestly can't make this one up. If you were around back then, you remember. Oh, you remember. People were pumped for Sonic 06. This was supposed to be it. A future of Sonic that fans have been waiting to salivate over for years. Rock, flag, and eagle, baby. The trailer promised an epic return with vibrant and exotic environments that got Sonic fans harder than a fucking Chaos Emerald. But alas, Sonic wouldn't be the only blue ball at release. Instead of the eye-popping, exhilarating experience that was promised, fans got a bug-ridden mess bordering on nightmare fuel depending on your tastes. That makes Skyrim on PS3 look stunning in comparison. The visuals were a disgrace, and the physics were an absolute abomination, all culminating in a lesson of frustration that ended with our favorite hedgehog bent straight over a fucking barrel. But then again, why would you want smooth gameplay when you can just fly through the walls and teleport across the stage and shit? The worst part about Sonic 06 is that there's a solid game underneath all this rubble, but it was buried purely because of shitty management and cost-cutting measures from the publisher, and the devs never got to see their true vision come to light. Sonic is a strange beast because on the one hand, you can point to the long-lasting demand and appreciation for the originals, cult classics like Sonic Adventure 2 and the wildly successful movie franchise as examples of Sonic's successful legacy. But on the other hand, one look at Sonic 06 and you would think this franchise went the way of the eternal flame. Number 3, Assassin's Creed Unity. I have to imagine that the boardroom meetings over at Ubisoft are centered around answering the age-old question of how can we make things worse. Making its debut at E3 2014, directly following the fallout from Watch Dogs, the trailer for Assassin's Creed Unity raised the bar for fuckery even higher and had us believing that we'd be running around revolutionary Paris, with stunning details and an abundance of lifelike characters and crowds. All thanks to the new hardware capabilities of the Xbox One and PS4, we were ready to parkour through the crowded streets of Paris and feel the pulse of history beneath our feet. Yeah, no. When the game dropped, instead of the jaw-dropping graphics, we got dropped jaws. Glitch-ridden mess that made everyone look like they were auditioning for a circus act. The game was breathtaking, alright, but more in the sense of watching a tragedy unfold in real time. And I don't think that's the way the developers intended. Or maybe it is. However, parkour and animations in Unity were somehow even less refined than the games from the previous generation. While Ubisoft eventually got around to patching out most of these issues, the damage was done. It would take Ubisoft several years and iterations to recover from this absolute blunder, and some might even argue that they haven't yet. And even going back today, there's just something about Unity that doesn't feel quite right. Number 4, Killzone 2. Killzone fucking 2. In 2005, Sony hyped their upcoming PS3 with Killzone 2 as the flagship title at E3. The visually stunning trailer promised a groundbreaking first-person shooter experience. We anticipated a gritty, war-torn world with revolutionary graphics. GameSpot even awarded the trailer their prestigious Editor's Choice Award for E3 2005. So what could go wrong? Turns out a lot, actually, because when the game dropped, it was abundantly clear that the gameplay trailer showcased was in fact not rendered in-game, and instead of the visually striking experience we were promised we got. The graphics, while decent, looked nothing like the stunning level of detail showcased in the trailer. It was like being promised a luxurious vacation, but instead you got a free trip to Death Valley on Spirit Airlines. Now, don't get me wrong, Killzone 2 was still a solid game. It just didn't quite live up to the graphical masterpiece that we were led to believe it would be. And I'll give them credit, as Sony did learn from this mistake and thankfully were able to avoid repeating this mishap on a grand stage again moving forward. That is, for the most part.
It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
However, the same cannot be said for number 5, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Playing EA's Star Wars Battlefront is like drinking an RC Cola. Scratches the itch, but you've had a Coca-Cola before. And in the back of your mind, you know that you could be having something better. So fans far and wide were shitting bricks for the sequel. The trailer from Star Wars Battlefront 2 was revealed at E3 2017 and promised an epic cinematic experience with graphics that would transport us to a galaxy far, far away. Even more heroes this time, expansive space battles, and handcrafted recreations of iconic Star Wars moments. However, they should have named this Battle Pass 2 because, oh my sweet lord, this game was nothing but a virtual slot machine with a Star Wars theme slapped over it. Want to play as your favorite hero? Loot box. Want to unlock a certain weapon or attachment? Loot box. Want to upgrade your gear? Loot box. You need to go take a shit? Loot box. There's literally no point in playing this game. There was no progression system in place. It's the rise of Skywalker of Star Wars video games. Visually stunning and devoid of any heart and soul. To add to this heartlessness, the loot boxes, which remember are required for anything, could conveniently be purchased with real-world money. A virtual casino for players aged 13 and up. Great fucking job, EA. Players rightfully feared that the absence of a progression system would create a pay-to-win environment, and parents' wallets would soon be brutally assaulted as those who spent more money gained a significant advantage over those who did not, encouraging the worst behavior within the most impatient demographic. At this point, I'm convinced that EA no longer stands for Electronic Arts and is now an abbreviation of Exploit Anyone. The backlash was so severe that it prompted a response from both EA, the game's publisher, and Disney, the owner of the failing Star Wars franchise. In response to the criticism, and more likely faced with the reality that encouraging kids to gamble could lead to some legal issues, EA temporarily removed microtransactions from the game just before its official launch. Problem? People don't really want to spend their hard-earned money on products from companies that make it overly apparent that they don't give a shit about you, and the damage was done. Sad part is, the game isn't really that bad from a technical standpoint, and with a little bit of imagination and some organic substances, you could actually have a fairly enjoyable experience playing it today. But still, when compared to its PS2 counterpart, which I can still enjoy playing today without having to worry about having enough players in my lobby, being able to jump in and live out my bounty hunting fantasies in peace is a luxury that this version of the game just can't afford. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. People say don't judge a book by its cover. Well, the same applies here. Don't judge a game solely by its trailer. Thank you all for joining me on this adventure through the land of shamelessness and deceit. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a ton, and I'll see you again soon.